Hey everybody, how is everybody doing? It is a new week, a new spotlight we are doing today, a spotlight 20 minutes of people doing amazing things out there in the world. Hope everybody's been doing well. It is gorgeous here in New Jersey. We cannot ask for a more gorgeous day as you can see outside, but my daughter's toys are still hanging. Man, those toys are old, but that's okay. We're going to have some fun today. I have this wonderful, amazing person that she has your backup plan. That's her life. Your backup plan, whether it's personal or business, she can help you. So let's get her on here because that's what it's more important about, listening to her, not listening to me. So here's Tina.
Hey! Hey, Rob.
How you doing?
I'm great. I'm great today.
I thank you for joining. I'm sure everybody's going to get a big kick out of this. You know, it's such a great thing when I met you a few weeks ago and we were talking, through the groups. And I love this, your backup plan. But before we get into what you're doing, actually, I'm just curious, how did this come about?
That's a great question. Because I think the universe has had me planned for what was coming. And this is what I created, and they had it all in the works. I've had all the different education and experiences through life to get me to this point. And one of them was with a dear friend of mine who was about 60 years old. And she went into the hospital thinking she was going for tests because she couldn't get rid of a cough. And all of a sudden, her husband called me and said, could you pick her up after her tests are done and drive her home for me? I said, sure. So he called me later and said, she's not coming out. She's got to do more tests first. I said, okay, just call me whenever you're free when she's ready. He called me the next day and said, she's not coming home. She has stage 4 lung cancer. And she has to do chemo and radiation.
Oh.
I was just devastated, but I went to visit her a couple times a week, brought her a nice cup of tea that actually tasted not like dishwater, and sat with her. And she had a little business on this that her and her husband ran in a small town. And he would come and ask her different questions. But as I would go up the following week to see her, and the elevator's doors would open, and I have to take a deep breath. I would get this anxiety over, what is she going to look like? What is she going to be like? How is this going to evolve? And every week was just worse, like to the point with oxygen mask on. And I sat with her outside one day and just out on the patio. And she said, Tina, I just want to feel the breeze. I want to see the blue sky and I want to hear the birds. And I don't want to worry about anything else. I just want to be in the moment. Mm-hmm. And I took that changed my life. Because I created your backup plan app so that you could get all this crap that's up in your head into one place so that for whatever happens, whatever storm comes through your life, you will be prepared and you don't have to worry about the stuff. Because the stuff can get in your way. If I sat with her and said, Carol, where's your keys? What cat food does your cat eat? Where's your bank accounts? Mm-hmm. You're not present. You're not there to support the person. You're not there to hold their hand and help them recover because you're too stressed out with what happens when. And you should have thought about that before. So I created the app to look after your medical when you go to the doctor, to look after where your keys are, your emergency kit, your photos for a 5-minute evacuation notice, where's your shutoff valves, what life insurance policies do you have, what do you have at work, what disability policies you have, where your bank accounts are, where your investments are. Your life is all in one place.
It's interesting because you don't want to have the conversation sometimes, especially, young age, young middle age. You're not thinking about life later. I mean, yes, you might have an insurance policy. Of course, you have that for the emergency thing. But you're not thinking about like what you just said, the little things and all those types of things. I mean, obviously, as people get into the older ages, they're preparing differently. They're preparing their will. Now, how different is this compared to what some people do with an attorney?
Well, the accountant does this. The lawyer does this, but doesn't help you when you're standing at the hospital bed and that person has to have surgery that you're with. Mm-hmm. And he may not do well, or she. It doesn't help you know all their stuff. Mm-hmm. The will is only a guideline of what their wishes want to be. And that's helpful also to have in your backup plan app, because it will ask you if you have a current will. And if you don't, it's going to ask you, would you like to get one? Mm-hmm. Because those are all important documents, but it's only a quarter of all the things that you need to look at, because you may not die. You may just be disabled, or I shouldn't say just, but there are different ramifications of whatever, right. Losing your passport in Europe, mm-hmm. or now what do I do?
Right.
Well, it's in your backup plan.
And it's interesting because I have a friend, he lives in Florida, and he's a lawyer, but he doesn't practice law. I mean, he's a lawyer he's got the degrees, he's done law, he's done all that stuff. But his business is the investigator, to find things that you may not, like there might be bank accounts that you didn't know about. There might be, but not hiding it, but it was just they made different bank accounts.
Yeah. And
like you just said, they didn't know to look in the left drawer. They only looked in the right drawer. And there could be assets and things. And that's his job. He investigates to find things out for the estate.
Correct.
So that
because there's unclaimed money. There are in England, Australia, and Canada and United States right now, it keeps increasing. Why? Because we, as the family member, don't know where all their bank accounts are.
Right.
They may not realize where all their bank accounts are.
Well, because if something suddenly happens, and it could be a head trauma.
Right. Car accident.
They can't tell you because they can't verbalize anything or communicate, and now it's lost. So now you got to start investigating and trying to. So what you're saying is this is a plan in an app that helps you to have all that information available. Mm-hmm. Now, how easy is it to update? Because things change.
It's super easy. We're just adding the 2 authentication security to the apps right now. So don't go and download it today, but it will be ready in about a week or so, because we wanted to make sure the security was top notch. We wanted to make sure that all the updates were done. I will have another big update to do on it for notifications, which is going to be awesome. So if you put your travel insurance in there, or if you put your car insurance in there, it will remind you when it comes up for renewal. Mm-hmm. So you won't need
Do you put the actual bank account number or just the type of bank and account you have in it?
What I always recommend you do is put where it is, what bank, and the location. And you can choose to put the bank account code, or you can take a picture of it.
Okay.
Or the same goes for your will, your power of attorney, your living will. All of that kind of stuff can all be either put in it as a picture or a document.
And it's interesting because, like, I remember years ago, my mom, still with us, she sent an email out to me and my brothers, and it was listing what documents were where. This is the attorney's name and his phone number. This is the documents that'll be in the deposit box of ABC Bank and blah, 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 blah. This is, but kind of like a backup plan.
Yeah.
Not necessarily where the gas turn off, the things about a house, which it could be used for also. I was reading up one.
I wanted to make sure that it was the majority of your backup plan is for when you're living, because we don't get prepared. We know through COVID that none of us were prepared. Otherwise, we would have all had toilet paper.
Oh, yes.
You know?
Sure.
And right now, we'd all have gas.
Between toilet paper, gas, and for some people, homes. Real estate market. Look at it. I mean, it's the same thing. Everything has its ups and downs, shall we say. I mean, during COVID, I was trying to find a bicycle for my daughter. I couldn't find one. Everybody bought out the bikes because they could be, everybody was home, so they needed bicycles. They needed things. We were on a 9-month waiting list for a bicycle.
That's
for
crazy.
A 14-year-old. I know. But that's what it is. It's like you said, you're not planning ahead. I mean, there's certain things we can plan ahead for. And obviously there were certain things. COVID, nobody could plan ahead for that because nobody thought we were going to go through what they did back in 1918 with the Spanish flu.
Right.
Nobody knew that.
But we could prepare for the result of COVID, which was the extreme of sickness or death. Those two things we should be planning for because they are all going to hit us at some point in our lives. Some of us many times. It doesn't stop having a flood. It doesn't stop having a wildfire, depending on what part of the country you live in.
Hurricanes,
tornadoes. It doesn't stop any of that. But what it does help you is, like I said to my ex-husband, one year he said, Tina, what's your New Year's resolution going to be?
Say the good thing. Don't say what you really said.
Okay. He said, Tina, what's your New Year's resolution going to be this year? I said, well, I don't know about mine, but yours is going to be, you're going to get your will finished. And you're going to get fixed. And he goes, oh, nice. So I was preparing even back then.
Yeah, it's true. Because it's, listen, there's the old business saying, if you're not preparing, you're preparing to fail. And that goes in your personal life too, whether it's business or so if you don't have your documents, your information in here, now it's preparing. God forbid, always say it. A lot of people say God, you always say God forbid. I go, because it's God forbid somebody passes away in family, and you now have to go running around. There's the funeral. There's this. Then there's all the papers. Oh, wait, you just became the head person of the estate. Now you got to start searching and doing, and then there's waiting periods, and you have to investigate, and then maybe there's 10 people in the will. And if all this stuff was available,
Mm-hmm. And there's costs too. Don't forget.
Exactly. I know. So, but I have a really good question.
Uh-oh.
Me. No, this is a legitimate question.
Okay.
You and me, we're going to try to plan ahead. What do you tell the 25-year-old?
That's a tough one. But because especially males, and I'm only going to go on the line for this one. Okay. Because men think they're Superman. Men think nothing is going to ever hurt them or nothing's going to ever happen to them. But females feel that they need a nest, and we need to know we have security, and we need to know that everything is looked after. Even if we're not sure, we need to know. Isn't that funny how the two minds think very differently?
Venus and Mars.
Yeah, that's right. So my issue is when I've been there, done that in many different cases with clients. And I'll give you an example. A young couple, in their early 50s, have a son who's 24. He gets his first job. He goes out and gets a loan for a big Chrysler truck. Okay, what happens next? He dies in a car accident. First off, there wasn't any planning done. And I have to blame the parents because, we all seem to, well, my mom and dad told me how to do that. Or my mom and dad showed me that we should get life insurance. My mom and dad showed us this is what you do because we don't learn in school. Mm-hmm. So I have to blame the parents for that because now they owe us big, huge loan on a truck. And they have to put the truck in their name, or they lose the truck but have to pay the loan. Mm-hmm. As well as all the other costs that go with their son of whatever he's done in his life. So why should a 25-year-old do it? To get started, especially for their social media accounts. There's going in 2030, no, in 100 years from now, which is what, 21. That sounds crazy. There's going to be 100 billion people on Facebook that have passed away.
Yep.
Because you can't get rid of their accounts. Mm-hmm. So if you have their social media accounts and their passwords, at least if you don't know them particularly, have them put them somewhere else in a book so that you know what they are. Now, Facebook has made a change where you can add a guarantor or a trustee to your account. But what about all your other accounts?
YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok. I could keep going on and on and on.
Websites. And there's a whole digital world out there that we now live in.
The website would fall off at some point because the hosting wouldn't be paid and they would just kill it.
Maybe you don't want it to.
I know.
Maybe you want it to continue on to the family.
Yeah, depending
because maybe there's royalties on it, or maybe there's income stream from it, or maybe there's stories that you want it to continue. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a blog that you want to continue. But again, you haven't figured all of that sort of stuff out. So you need to put that into place. And a digital world of money that you don't even know exists is real. It could be reward points. It could be credits. It could be Xbox. It could be, we don't get real bills in the mail anymore. So it's this digital world that we need to know, well, how do I pay Aunt Sally's electric bill? So when she comes out of the hospital, her lights, her power, her internet's still on.
No, it's true. It's true. Now, the app is on, not today because you're doing an update, you said, but it's on iOS. Is it also on Android too?
Yes, it's on Google Play Store.
Great. Yeah. Great. So everybody can get that starting tomorrow.
Well, you can get it, but it won't be working properly.
There's an update.
Well, we are into Mercury retrograde any moment. So, hey,
There we go. So anybody who wants to find out more information, you need to go to, and you can reach Tina at yourbackupPlan.ca. That's yourbackupPlan.ca. Great site, tells you a little bit about what it's for. And I think there was an area that you can contact you.
Yes. And I'm a podcaster. I have my own show, Your Backup Plan, on all podcast platforms. And we talk about real people and real stories each and every week. So Talking Taboo with Tina is true.
Talking Taboo with Tina. It almost sounds like a tongue twister. I'll add the T's on there for you.
Doesn't have the S's, but it has all the T's.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on and being our Spotlight 20 today.
Oh, thank you so very, very much. Thank you.
And for everybody else, we'll see you at the next Spotlight 20, finding extraordinary people doing extraordinary things for everybody. And we will see you real soon.
Bye.